Proton Media is the developer of ProtoSphere, a business collaboration software platform built on the Microsoft UCC stack with Lync and Sharepoint integration. The platform aims to allow organizations to create an always-on virtual workspace where they can bring the right people and data together at any moment to increase the speed and effectiveness of knowledge transfer, learning, collaboration, and retention of business-critical information. Users create avatars and then work collaboratively in a series of interconnected shared spaces, virtual meeting rooms, classrooms, auditoriums, and labs. Please welcome Ronald Burns, CEO of Proton Media.
Well, Ron, thanks very much for joining us here on Information Week's Valley View. You know, there's a lot of companies out there in the collaborative space, and obviously you're diving into a very crowded space. We're trying to figure out just exactly what it is that sets you apart from everybody else. What's the big USP here?
Well, it's interesting you guys were making fun of big data and how big data is overdone at this point. The premise of our business is that big data is not enough. You have to have big people around that data to make decisions.
Wait. Big people?
Big people. We're talking about big people today. You know? Because content without context is meaningless. Data without interpretation is just data, right? So what we did was try and create a very compelling immersive environment that is embedded in the data that we use every day, which is why we chose to integrate into systems like SharePoint, Microsoft Lync, Outlook itself, where many of us spend our days.
Okay, so you had some friends. We were talking before. One of the issues is that as we get more complicated with our collaborative solutions, they require more setup. So we took a look at your solution a little bit. It's very immersive, but what worries us about something like that is the setup time. Today, we use video conferencing solutions here around our company, and you'd be surprised at how many times just before we get going, either the technology fails or there's a little bit of a cultural barrier we have to get over. You know, hey, what color are you wearing? What's, you know, that nice tie you've got?
You got a haircut.
Yeah, got a haircut. Whereas when we use the simpler applications, we get right to the business of collaborating. So, so how do you manage that?
Well, I think that's an interesting premise. I think we feel that the enterprise user does not want to be on camera all day for every situation. You two are very handsome, so handle the camera quite well. But there are average-looking people in the enterprise workforce. And as such, to be a perfectly coiffed avatar, but at home in their pajamas when they're talking to Singapore, has some value. I also think if you look at the way, for example, Cisco arrays a large video call, once you get beyond 16, 18 endpoints, you're dealing with a pretty sad episode of the Brady Bunch, and we're here to save the world from that.
Save the world from Brady Bunch.
Well, it was a good show back in the 60s, but we want to move on from that, right?
Well, one question I have, and we'll take a look at how this works, is you're using 3D, you're using avatars. You know, we kind of had this story a few years ago with Second Life. I mean, maybe it still exists, but now we're taking Second Life to the enterprise. How's that going?
Well, I wouldn't say this is exactly like Second Life. There are a lot of 3D things out there. There's the Xbox, there's PlayStation, there's a variety of social games. I know you're going to have Zynga on later at this show. So the notion of gaming-like environments, I think, has validity for sure. I think the difference in terms of what we've done is we've embedded this into the Microsoft collaboration stack. So each room is an always-on Microsoft Lync phone call. The data, as you drag it in and out of the rooms, goes into SharePoint. So these big investments that the CIO has made at the enterprise level are preserved in this case, rather than it being a system from the outside. And we know that CIOs like to preserve the investments that they've made.
Well, let's take a look at the demo. Give us kind of tour of generally what you're going to see when you walk in.
Okay, so the first thing you notice is I'm in an environment right now. My colleague Tom Bavino is with me. Tom, how are you doing today?
Hey, Ron, how are you?
So each room or each space is an always-on Microsoft Lync phone call. So you notice that we're ingesting Lync Presence, Lync Text Chat over here, and we also, for you, we have a name on the list to make you feel comfortable.
Okay,
if you want
thank you.
Very simple. And by the way,
is it a big name?
It's big name, big data,
okay,
big people.
Thank you.
Right. So, and to your point about simplicity, to move around the environment is a very simple thing. I can change my camera angle with my mouse wheel here, and I can gesture very easily here. You see my colleague Tom is with me. And if I want to gesture, those gestures are very available to me right here below.
You can't punch him, right?
I can shoot him in the eye with this laser pointer if I want to be rude. But we try not to do that in general. Tom, can you say a word over Lync voice over IP, if you will?
Sure thing. How's it going? How are you?
So you see that when Tom talks, you have very, very high quality voice over IP. That's because each room is literally an always-on Lync conference call. And by the way,
we're doing this over the internet, by the way. We're not doing this over a private link of any sort.
No, we're not. This is an internet application, and each room is literally a Lync phone call. So if you think about hardware manufacturers who've taken rooms and put conference call devices into them for years, we flipped that notion to some extent and made the virtual room the always-on call. One of the ideas here is that work being a series of time-bound events, the conference calls is from 2 to 3, or the video conferences from 4 to 5, is not an efficient way to work. In this environment, you can array a series of business processes together in one collaborative space. And so the persistence and the identity and the value of the spaces where you embed business processes is one of the values our customers see. We also have the ability, by the way, to share other content types. And you'll notice when I clicked on that surface there, my heads-up display gave me the available functions. I can do my application sharing and my annotations there. And we also support a high-quality video of all sorts. So to be able to watch video together, again, we're not anti-video. We think video is appropriate, but to be able to watch TV together, for lack of a better term, is a very valuable thing, and to make that a user-created kind of scenario. So I can upload e-learning courseware if I want to share a piece of courseware with my colleagues.
Welcome to Animos Training Module 2.
And we even actually, advocate sharing and watching your show together because God knows it's got a pretty opening graphic. I really like
That's a big show.
It's a big show about big people like you guys. Yeah. The other thing in terms of the value of 3D is how do you handle big data? Let's go back to big data. Tom, let's teleport out to the data visualization room, okay?
Sure thing.
So this is a room that exists in the system.
That's right.
And it had a video screen on it, so you could look at a video together. And you're going to a different room now.
We're going to a different room now where we're going to talk a bit about how you put big people and big data together in the same shared space.
Those are two data sexuals.
That's right. Well, they're certainly data sets. You may have the wrong vowels and consonants mixed up there together, but
I didn't make up the
it's
term.
a good show. I appreciate the term. So here, by way of example, is a protein folding algorithm that my laser pointer is pointing to. So big pharmaceutical companies and research organizations would traditionally do a data visualization that maybe looks something like that, where they'd be pulling that big data set from a Cray supercomputer or something like that. Our view as a cloud collaboration platform is that you can ingest that big data source from a cloud source, but the people can look at it together in a socialized way.
How is it being ingested?
That's exactly what I was going to ask.
We are taking this, we're Microsoft partners and working on the Azure platform.
Okay, so that's data that exists in Azure's cloud, pulling it in.
There's data in Azure's cloud, but what was it that created that visualization of the data? Was there some other application that you developed that runs in the cloud that integrates with this platform, or does your platform have built into it the ability to take in any sort of data set and interpret it and know how to make it, turn it into a visualization like the one we just saw?
Yeah, we're working very hard, and this is not fully baked. The data viz piece is not fully baked on our end, but in this case, you see, we're working very hard to ingest a variety of data types. It could be financial data, medical data, but the reason I show you this kind of environment is the value of 3D is to show complex data, big data, if you will, with big people as well around it.
I see my DNA back there.
That's big DNA right there.
You want to stay away from that DNA, by the way. Trust me. So.
But the idea is that it's a 3D visualization. This platform is giving that ability.
Right. The value of 3D is when you have a complex problem that is a lot of data, you can think about it in multi-dimensions, which, we're not born into an Excel spreadsheet. We're born into 3 dimensions, and we spend our life learning how to be 2D.
But I want to circle back to the question I asked earlier. You've got these visualizations in the environment. You've got the video showing up on the screen. There's some amount of setup that has to go into that in order to prepare the environment for the meeting you're about to have. That's the thing that worries me, is that the more complicated, today, we sort of, halfway through the video conferencing solution not working, we all decide, let's bail out and just dial everybody up on the phone. So
that's fair. That's fair. Let's do a setup. Let's see how long that takes. Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to set up we're going to build a new space on the fly, and by the way, One of the values of this product is we think people try and collaborate from Outlook. How many times have you done an email to 2, 3, 10 people, hit reply all 5 times? You're basically creating an unmoderated blog in that situation. One of the reasons we wanted to tie ProtoSphere to the Microsoft UCC stack is instead of doing an email mass chain, we can create a space. So if you have a project that you're going to work on and you assume that this is a valuable enough topic to build a persistent space, you can then go to this tool here. This is our build your own world tool, and let's say we wanted to build a small collaboration space very quickly. Let's create a conference space. We could determine how many SharePoint boards we want in that space. We could pick our style, and we can name it Info Week. If I could type, of course. And our cloud on the back end literally creates that room on a persistent basis. Now it's done. If we go back into ProtoSphere, hey Tom, I just created a world called Info Week. Let's go take a peek at it, okay?
All right, I'll meet you there.
So now in our locations, in alphabetical order.
You need a room search.
Exactly right.
It's-
Where did it go?
That's because Fritz and I are sitting here. We kill demos.
Do you?
Yes, just our presence.
Well, in theory, it should be there.
Well,
Okay.
Well,
we're
So one last question while we're doing this is that it's obvious and noticeable you've integrated this tightly into the Microsoft collaborative environment.
right.
What about guys like us who are on Macs all the time?
We are working on an iOS version and a Mac version as we speak.
Okay. All right. Well, Ronald J. Burns, CEO of Proton Media.
Thank
Thanks
you for
very
your
much.
time. Appreciate
Okay.
it.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
thank you.